What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 89 of Trail Tales. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I am a huge hiking nerd, and every single week on this podcast, you know the drill. I chat with other hiking nerds about their experiences on the trail. Okay, episode 89. My boy Flossy is back. You know him. You love him. He's been on at least 2 or 3 times now. And this is the second ever in-person Trail Tales episode because we did the same thing that we did during our last episode, which was sat in my bedroom and used my one-person microphone to record 2 people. So my apologies if the audio doesn't sound quite as good as it normally does. I think it's still going to sound just fine though. Shouldn't be a big deal. And in this episode, we basically just catch up with all of the hiking we have done since the last time that we talked on this show, because Flossy and I, we live together. We have been doing a lot of hiking and backpacking over this summer, and during the last episode, we just covered about half of it because, well, we'd only done about half of it. So we go over the second half, and then at the end of the episode, we talk a little bit about some of our preparation and starting thoughts, I guess, for the Northville Placid Trail, because that is a hike we are going to be attempting in just a few weeks, very, very shortly. So expect an episode on that once we finish, but we just talk about what we're looking forward to, what we're nervous about, and just about the trail a little bit. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It'll be cool to listen back to that after we do the trail and hopefully finish it. So yeah, we'll see. Either way, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Flossy, for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll do another episode soon. Before we get into it, real quick here, I gotta say a couple things. First thing I gotta say is Trail Tales Patreon. Go check it out if you haven't already. If you're a regular listener to this show and you want to help support the show, make sure I can keep doing these, go to patreon.com/trailtales. That's a great way to help support the show. You'll get some bonus content. You'll get a more direct channel to me if that's something you actually want. Patreon.com/trailtales. Thank you so much to all my Patreon supporters. It keeps growing. It's awesome. Thank you guys so much. You keep this stuff going. I really appreciate it. If you cannot give a few bucks a month to the Patreon, that is A-okay. Another thing you can do to help support the show is leave a 5-star, that's right, 5-star review on whatever your podcast platform is. iTunes, Spotify. I don't think you can leave them on Spotify actually, but if you can, please do it. 5-star iTunes reviews is usually what I say. Those really help the show. Trail Tales is continuing to grow every single week. It's really, really cool to see. So if you leave a 5-star iTunes review, that'll help with the algorithm and the AI gods in promoting my content and making me a famous podcaster. Let's see, the next thing, the last thing actually, the most important thing, arguably, I need to say is a huge thank you to this episode's sponsor, CS Instant Coffee. That's right, CS Instant Coffee is back doing some more sponsored episodes here, and I'm very lucky because their coffee is really, really good. They sent me a bunch of coffee when we did our first deal a few months ago, and unfortunately I ran out of that coffee not too long ago actually. I gave some of it to Flossy and I just drank the rest, and it kind of sucked because on my last backpacking trip, which I didn't really get into in this episode with Flossy, but I went on a hike in the White Mountains just last weekend by myself, and well, I didn't have any more CS Instant Coffee, so I had to drink the Nestle stuff, the Folgers stuff. I don't honestly remember which one it was because all that stuff sucks. And yeah, that stuff sucked. It was not good. And I was very much missing my CS Instant Coffee. The coffee comes in these like very, I don't know what the best way to describe it as. I want to say like sexy almost, or like, I don't know. This sounds really weird to describe coffee like that. But they come in these like very aesthetically pleasing little packets. And one packet will make a very, very strong, very, very awesome, tasty cup of coffee, or you can even split up the packets into 2 different cups if you drink like some smaller cups. But for me personally, folks, I just go for it. I just send that shit. You know how it goes. I need my caffeine, and trust me, drinking CS Instant Coffee on the trail is a fantastic way to get yourself going in the morning or in the afternoon. On a hike Flossy and I did just a couple weekends ago in the Green Mountains here in Vermont actually, we did this thing, and Flossy briefly mentioned it in this episode actually, where we stopped at lunch and we had some coffee at lunch as well. So not just in the morning, get what I'm saying here. And it was kind of a game changer. So If you need a morning boost, CS Instant Coffee is the way to go while you're on trail. If you need an afternoon boost, CS Instant Coffee is the way to go. That stuff's really, really good as a cup of coffee you're going to brew right here at home, which is really saying something because instant coffee usually sucks way worse than normal coffee. So thank you so much to CS Instant Coffee for sponsoring this episode. Go check them out at the best URL ever. It is csinstant.coffee. That's right. No .coms here, folks. csinstant.coffee. I will have a affiliate link in the description of this podcast, the show notes of this podcast as well. If you buy through there, I'll get a little bit of a kickback, so that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to CS Instant Coffee. We're going to get into the episode now, number 89, with my boy, Flossy. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 89 of Trail Tales, the second ever in-person Trail Tales episode. That's what we're doing right now because my boy Flossy's here. What's up, Flossy?
What's going on, baby?
So this is going to be that thing we did the last time we talked, which was I think like in July, maybe at some point, where we basically are just using my one microphone that's meant for one person to record both of us. So we are sitting in my bedroom right now, legs basically interlocked so that we can both be as close as possible to this thing without touching each other. Although I did kind of brush Flossy's foot at the beginning of this, but
what the hell, dude?
We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. As far as the actual plan for this episode, I don't know. We don't really have a plan. You saw the title, so you should have at least a little bit of an idea of what we end up talking about. But as of the time of this recording, we don't really know exactly what we're going to talk about, but we do have a bunch of various things, much of which is just going through the hikes that we have done since our last episode, which, again, I probably should have looked this up before. It was July at some point, I want to say, something like that. And we've been backpacking quite consistently since then. So we're going to go through some of our hikes that we've done, and we're also going to go through a pretty big hike that we have coming up. Most of you, or many of you at this point, know what it is. We did talk about it on the last episode too, so I don't know why it's not a secret. Northville Placid Trail. We're going to be giving that a shot very, very soon, just a couple weeks here. So we might talk about some of our prep and some of our, I don't know, just what we're feeling going into that hike, which is going to be by far the most aggressive thing we've taken on since the AT. So yeah, that's the plan. But I don't know, where should we start?
I think we ended with the bonds last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was in June.
I guess we should maybe give a little bit of context, just in case people forgot the last episode or didn't hear it or whatever. But we set out this summer with a very ambitious goal of hiking 400 miles. And you got to remember, we both work full-time jobs, and I do a lot of work in addition to my full-time job on this podcast and on YouTube. And so trying to hike 400 miles in addition to full-time people responsibilities is pretty difficult, and we're getting there. We're going to do it. We're definitely going to do it. I'm a little bit ahead of Flossy too, but it's definitely going to be a little bit of a challenge. Cough, not going to cut it out. We're doing it live. It's going to be a challenge. We have that kind of a little bit more clear in front of us now that it's mid-September and we still have a decent amount of miles. How many miles do we have left still?
I just totaled it up. I know I'm at 215 right now. So you're probably at closer to 250.
250, something like that. So I was able to do a couple hikes that Flossy couldn't go on. But, we're more than halfway. And, again, the Northville Placid Trail thing we're going to hopefully talk about in a little bit here is 140 miles. So assuming we're successful, too, obviously, which hopefully we will be, that'll knock out a good chunk of the remaining miles, but we're still going to have to kind of fill in the gaps from there. But anyways, why don't we just kind of go through some of the hikes that we've done since the last episode, which, maybe I said July, maybe it was June, honestly. I'm looking at your notes now. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure we talked up to the Bonds hike. That's what we kind of ended on last time.
Yeah.
And what's next here?
So we did on June 21st, the forehead of Mount Mansfield.
Oh,
so that was my first.
Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure we recorded like right after we did that or something. Because I feel like we. I don't remember if we mentioned it. We might have mentioned it.
In case you didn't know, I was out fishing all day, got a really bad sunburn, and the part of trail we did is super exposed, and I was an idiot and wore a tank top, so my sunburn became even worse.
It was a really hot day too. It was like a 90+ degree day, which is not normal for up here in Vermont. And the trail we did was called the Maple Ridge Trail, I think. And as Flossy just said, yeah, it was pretty exposed, which kind of poor planning. Fortunately, this was a short hike, 5.2 miles from what I'm seeing on Flossy's notes here. So it was just like a day hike, an afternoon hike, honestly. It was like a weekend and we just fucking, did our thing on like an afternoon or whatever. But that was pretty brutal because it was really hot out. And we also talk about our pace.
We just ripped it.
We just ripped it basically. We didn't run it, but shit, on the way up it felt like we basically ran it. And that coupled with the heat was tough for sure.
I was trying to do it as fast as possible because the straps on my backpack were just rubbing hardcore on like my sunburn. It was horrible. And I didn't put any sunscreen on like an idiot.
Nah, you don't need sunscreen here in the Northeast. That's not true at all. You should definitely wear sunscreen sometimes, but I don't usually wear it.
Probably wouldn't bring it on a through hike, honestly.
Well, it depends on what trail. On the PCT, I feel like you probably should. On the AT?
On the AT,
no,
yes.
No.
If we're talking East Coast.
Yeah. You probably don't need it. I don't know. If you burn really easily, maybe if you're like in the whites or something, like the presidentials, then you could probably use it there. But for the most part, the majority of the time, probably not going to need it here.
And I have no experience out west, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. All right, so that was just a short little 5.2. And then 4th of July weekend, we did the Dry River Wilderness hike, which some of you might have seen the video for this. Hopefully you have. And that was a ripper. And that was like, I don't know. Let's just like walk through the hike. So we did our usual weekend thing. So Friday we worked, and then Friday night we drove up after we worked. So kind of didn't really, have a ton of time on Friday. We just hiked in a couple miles. I don't remember the trailhead we parked at. It was near Glen, New Hampshire, like pretty close to the Santa's Village area, where the Dairy Queen was closed, unfortunately. The same Dairy Queen that we slept outside of on our through hike, as we talked about last time. But the Dry River Wilderness Loop. So Friday, we just hiked in a couple miles to. Oh, dude, I need to get my map or something. What's the name of that? Rocky Branch Number 1. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Rocky Branch Number 1.
Yeah, and the shelter was packed full.
It was Pack City. As I believe Flossy said in the video.
People had tents in there and everything.
There's just a shit ton of people. And again, this was the 4th of July weekend, and we showed up at like 8 o'clock on a Friday night. So it's not like we were exactly shocked, but
we weren't expecting luxury, that's for sure.
No. And all the tent sites, the official tent sites were full as well, because they have like some marked sites and stuff there too. And so it was almost dark at this point, so we were like, okay, we're just gonna go like stealth camp kind of. So we just walked off the trail like you're supposed to or whatever, threw our tents up, and just slept. How'd you sleep that night?
Probably like shit, because I never sleep good the first night.
I don't either.
Especially if you don't hike like that much that day.
Exactly.
You're not exhausted. You're out in the woods. Not really like you're kind of on alert, I guess, a little bit too. And at that point, I didn't know the whole pillow trick with the frog togs.
That's a good tip. Why don't you explain that one?
So, who was it? Bigfoot. Yeah, shout out to Bigfoot, because we watched a video and he explained it. But I got real shitty sleep before this. And I guess I didn't notice it, or I was just too stubborn to do it. But so you have like, say you have an inflatable sleeping pad, and you got your pillow on it. You basically wrap your frog togs. It's like your
your rain jacket.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, your rain jacket, whatever you got. You basically you're like putting it on your sleeping pad over your pillow, so it holds your pillow in place. Mm-hmm. And that's like you need really good sleep out there, so that's like that's a huge pro tip.
It's genius. It's genius. Like, it's one of those things where, I'll be honest, I don't really watch that many. I mean, more so nowadays, I guess, but I don't watch like a ton of backpacking YouTube videos, and when I do, it's very rarely. It's like the top 10 or backpacking tips shit, basically the shit that I make, honestly. But I watched this video from Follow Bigfoot, and he explained this trick, and it's a game changer, trust me. If your rain jacket's soaking wet, then you're kind of screwed, but...
Yeah, like mine, like I found out on the last hike we did there, we'll probably get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my rain jacket was wet, and again, I slept like shit. And I think it was a little cold, so I slept in my puffy.
Oh, so you didn't have that like underneath?
Yeah, but I saw another good tip where if you have a buff, it's actually a guy that's hiked the AT before. He started Good Belly.
Yeah, or Green Belly.
Green Belly.
Yeah, Green Belly.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on the Rogan podcast and everything, but he takes his buff and he shoves all the clothes he's not sleeping in into his buff.
That's a good idea. I never thought about that before.
Yeah, and he uses that as his pillow, so that's a pretty good idea.
Did you learn that on the Rogan podcast too?
No, I
just one of his other.
Yeah, one video I saw. I looked him up there after I saw him, and
is that the Chris Anderson guy? Is that his name?
That might be his name.
I don't remember exactly. I just know that Rogan, when I was through hiking the AT, I listened to a podcast where Rogan interviewed a AT through hiker, and I'm pretty sure I don't really see him interview. I probably know if he interviewed anybody else at this point, so probably the same guy. I don't even remember if Chris Anderson. I don't fucking know. But anyways, pillow tip. That's a good tip. But anyways, back to the Dry River Wilderness hike.
We hit 3 pretty good sized mountains on this one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Well, I mean, we hit one 4,000 footer.
Oh, okay. It's coming back to me now. I didn't mean that as if I was doubting you. I just couldn't recall what we did. But
yes, the first one was we must have
Stairs Mountain.
Yeah,
that's
Stairs
what it was.
Mountain, 3,463 feet.
Yep, and that was we did that first thing in the morning, so we were fresh. So I don't remember it being too bad. I do remember it being pretty damn steep though. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this. The Dry River Wilderness is in the White Mountains. It's just south of Mount Washington, that area. You could hike from where we started all the way to Mount Washington without crossing any roads, so it's real close there. But it's not, or at least the loop that we did doesn't go quite up to the Presidential Ridge. So, Stairs Mountain, there's a nice view up there. We kind of chilled up there for a minute, took some videos.
So did we must have hit Mount Davis the same, is that where we ate lunch?
Yeah.
Where you could see Mount Washington?
I think that was Mount Davis, yeah. I really should have gotten the map. Yeah, but it definitely was in isolation because I'd been up there before for my...
Yeah, for sure. Mount Davis, I really liked Mount Davis. You had a really cool view of Washington, right? You could see the ridge leading. Could you see Frank? You could see Franconia.
I don't remember.
I don't.
The presidentials were so dominant there because you're right next to them, basically, as I just said.
Yeah.
I don't remember. You can see a shit ton of stuff though. Kerrigan, you can see Kerrigan.
Yeah, Mount Davis 3,800.
And that was So do you remember? This is all coming back to me now. When we left Stairs Mountain, and it was a 4-mile stretch from there to Mount Davis.
It was forever.
And that was the longest fucking 4 miles. It was so bad that we even thought the map was off. And again, this is 2 experienced hikers. It's not like we were just new and didn't know how to judge our pace. Yeah. I mean, we're usually pretty good at judging our pace, like most of the people listening to this podcast are. And so this 4 miles just felt like it took so damn long, and it was so bad that we thought the map was off when we got back. So we found another map and double checked it, and turns out that stretch was the same on all the other maps too. So I don't know if if we were just hiking slow, or I think what the thing is, and this is something that I'm sure some people listening that have hiked in the Dry River Wilderness know, that's some rough shit. Like the trail there, and not rough as in, well, it is difficult as in like climbing and descending, but I mean rough as in lots of blowdowns, lots of overgrown trail, like just lots of stuff that slows you down, basically, lots of rocks. And I think that's probably why it felt longer than it was, but I don't actually know.
Yeah, we were pretty hungry too, so.
Yeah.
So, if I recall, was Mount Isolation the one you finished your, what is it? Is it
48?
The 48, yeah.
Yep. And we hit that after Mount Davis. So Mount Davis is like, it's just like a 0.1 or 0.2 side trail to from the trail we were on, and I remember that being pretty tough as well.
Oh no, that was straight up. That was steep, yeah.
And again, I think it's because we were just like, why haven't we finished this section of trail yet? And then we were hungry, and then it was just like fucking up. But the views were very, very, very good there. If you watch the video that I posted, that's where we were like eating lunch, and I think I was talking about like candy bars or some stupid shit like that.
Your favorite president?
Oh yeah, that was so dumb. I literally, because we were looking at the presidential ridge, right? And I said, that Eisenhower was my favorite president out of all the mountains we could see because he was a general that later became a president. And then you were like, didn't Washington do that too? And I was like, wait a minute. Washington was like the fucking general that became a president because he was the first president. I was like, wow, I'm fucking stupid. But that made for a funny clip in the video anyways.
I don't want to stay on this too long, but I have a question for you.
What's up?
What was it like when you finished the 48 on Mount Isolation?
On Mount Isolation.
Was it like a big celebration, or was it just you?
It was, so... That was an interesting... I don't know if I've ever told this like little story before, but so the reason Flossy's bringing that up, by the way, is because after Mount Davis, like as in a mile or two, very shortly after Mount Davis, you go over the summit of Mount Isolation, and that's what we did on this hike. But Mount Isolation was the 4,000 footer that I finished my 48 on in August of 20. Look at all these flies, dude. What the fuck? I got so many fruit flies in my room. Like August of 2017, something like that. I don't remember. Summer of 2017. As far as how it felt literally the same as any other hike. Like, no significance. I was with Dan, and Dan, who you guys are going to find out, not Dan Becker, fuck off. One of my friends, Dan, who I grew up with and did a lot of my early hiking with, I was with him, and I told him before we went and like in the car ride and stuff, but I don't think he really gave half a shit at all about the fact that I was finishing. So we pretty much just hiked it, and then I just went down. I was like, cool. Made an Instagram post about it. That was about it.
Oh yeah.
Not as good as the AT, I'll say that.
Yeah. Even that was like anticlimactic or whatever.
Not for me, bro. Not for me. Hell no. I was fucking pumped.
No, trust me. Like, no, I loved it, but like afterwards, it was like, just like, what do you do now? Like,
that's true.
And then
you start a podcast.
Then you gotta go back down Hunt.
Yeah, that sucked.
But
that did suck. Anyways, so Mount Isolation, we did that, and then this is all pretty much in the same day. Hopefully they're following this. We're already like 17 minutes in. We're only on the first hike here, so all right, I'll kind of wrap this up. But then we camped that night, and the only other significant thing I want to say about this hike, so the next day, the day that we left, we had like, I don't even remember how many miles, probably somewhere around like 8. That's usually what our Sunday back to the car, drive home kind of day is, like around 8 miles. But the Rocky Branch Trail, part of the Rocky Branch Trail, if you leave the intersection, I don't know how to describe this, back closer towards between Rocky Branch number 2 and Rocky Branch number 1, there's a section of the trail that basically there is no trail, but you can still make your way through because the section of the trail that got destroyed is because of the river there. Years ago, I think maybe Hurricane Irene 2011, somewhere around there, this part of the trail just got absolutely fucked by the river. The river just washed out, and I mean, we were seeing the riverbanks, like sometimes like 3-4 stories high of just washout, just dirt. Like you can tell, like that shit just got absolutely, like it would have been a fucking sight to see at the time. Honestly,
I've never seen anything washed out.
And
like
honestly, neither have I. And I'd done quite a bit in the Whites before this. Like that was absolutely insane. But if you go through this part of the Rocky Branch Trail, you need to be ready for this, because if you do not have, you don't need to be fucking Bear Grylls. Like, you don't need
your compass or anything.
Almost knocked my beer over right onto my computer there. Yeah, like a GPS would have helped actually. If we had a GPS, it would have.
Yeah.
We still were fine, but it would have helped a little bit. But basically the trail just is the riverbed. If the water had been higher too, because it wasn't that high, that would have been tough too.
Oh yeah.
But you basically just have to look for the cairns or the cairns. People made fun of me because I called it cairns in that video. They're like, "Oh, cairns." I was like, "No, I don't know." The hockey rink here in South Burlington is called Cairns Arena, so that's what I always thought that word was. But yeah. Cairns, the fucking rock piles or whatever. You just gotta look for those, and pretty much just go cairn to cairn, just boom, 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 and eventually you'll find your way back. But just be wary of that if you do the Rocky Branch Trail anytime soon, because I don't think they're going to be fixing it, because they got bigger shit to deal with, I guess. But anyways, that's the Dry River Wilderness hike. Now that we're almost not almost halfway through, but 20 minutes in. What's next on this list here, Flossy? Couple hikes that you did?
Well, there's the same weekend you went out with Taylor. I did the Cranberry Lake 50. Mm-hmm. And the Adirondacks.
This was kind of funny because Taylor, the New Hampshire hiker, and I, as hopefully as most of you know, if you heard that episode, we went out July 24th-ish for a couple days after that, and we did the Monadnock Sunapee Greenway Trail. And again, because Flossy and I are trying to do this 400 miles thing, he was like, shit, you guys are about to go hike 50 miles, so you're going to be 50 miles ahead of me. I don't want that to happen. And Flossy couldn't go on the hike because he was working, such is life. And so you were like, well, I guess it was kind of I
had the weekend off, but I couldn't hike up until Monday.
Yeah, because I had my hike was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and he only had the weekend off. But I was like, yo, you should go do the Cranberry Lake 50 because it's a loop hike, so you won't have to worry about shuttles or car spots or anything like that. If you're by yourself, you can just start and finish at the same spot. And I was like, because I've done that trail before too, and I was like, you should just go rip it. It's in the Adirondacks. And if I was like, I wasn't joking, but I didn't actually think you were gonna take me up on it, to be honest.
I was convinced like right away.
But exactly, like I could see it in your eyes. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, you're pretty much like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And why don't you go ahead and talk about that hike a little bit, because they've already heard about my Monadnock hike.
All right, Cranberry Lake 50. Let's see. I got to. Well, beforehand, Nara had done you did the whole 50, right, with Dan?
Yep.
Yeah, so I kind of got some of his input, like where he started. I went clockwise and stayed at the same trailhead he did. But I got to the trailhead at like 8 at night, and this was in...
On a Friday, right?
Yeah, on a Friday, July 24th. So, it stays light until about 9.
Yeah.
Like 8:45 the sun starts going down. But
didn't you meet those people that night?
Yeah, so like right when I got out of my truck, these 3 people who were doing the 50 as well, they were the only people I saw that day. Well, like I had just started out, but anyways, I had no idea where I was going to camp, and it was getting dark. So I just kind of followed them a little bit. They didn't really know where they were going to stay either, so we were like, all right, we'll go. We went to the Cranberry Lake. I guess it was like a campsite, like a car campsite where people could camp. And we just walked into there and like asked these people. We were like, hey, like, is there a ranger around? Do you have to pay? They were like, yeah, it's like $25 a night or whatever. Well, apparently the gate was closed at that time, and we, no one was coming in, and we saw an open spot, so we just set up and took it. But it was pretty cool because I got to meet like 3 people. I think they went to school in New York, not far from.
I don't remember what you. It was like an Ithaca or a Cornell or something like that.
Something like that, but yeah. Anyways, it was cool to hang out with them, and they had a dog with them. They brought so much food. They were eating I was eating my north side, and they were eating spaghetti with peppers and mushrooms and summer sausage. It looked so good. But anyways, we parted ways the next day. You
ripped right ahead of them, yeah?
Yeah. I was up I couldn't sleep really good that night. So I was up at 5, and I mean, I'm doing 50 miles in 2 days, so I knew I had to
That's fucking crazy, dude.
But yeah, luckily it was kind of dry when I did it. It wasn't really wet until the second day, but the first day wasn't bad. I wasn't walking through many wet spots, but I did about, if it felt like 30 miles. I think I did 30 miles, between 25 and 30 my first day. And I stayed at High Falls Shelter. Yeah, High Falls. I definitely recommend staying there. It's really cool. I
gotta look that up. I don't remember which. It was such a blur for me, that hike. We had fucking terrible weather, so.
Yeah, it was 0.4 off the trail. But they have really sweet campsites, and it's right next to the water. There's
get ready for the MPT, baby. That's how it's gonna be, hopefully.
I ate dinner there, right by the waterfall, and yeah, it was nice. Watch the sunset. But the next morning, I woke up and I started hiking, and my left foot hurt so bad. The day before, I was stepping on it wrong, and it didn't hurt that day, but I didn't think it was going to be a huge deal, but it was excruciating pain. I feel like I pulled something in it, but whatever, there's no way out. You just got to
You're literally halfway down the loop, there's only one way back to your car.
Yeah, so. I wasn't going to stop anyways, I was going to do the whole thing. I mean, unless something drastic happened, but so yeah, I think it was it had to have been 20, 25 back to the truck. But no, it was a cool hike for sure. I definitely recommend it to anybody. And
maybe don't do it in 2 days. Maybe take it 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't take it back, definitely, but it is good to slow your pace. And I got really good weather. But the end of it, the last 10 miles, where I was just walking through bogs, and it was super muddy and swampy, but gorgeous views, so many ponds.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's really awesome.
It's a cool hike. That was so funny because you were, and I was talking to Taylor about this when we were out there. I was like, obviously I explained to her the situation, how I convinced you to do this hike or whatever, or not convinced you, but got the idea in your head anyways.
Yeah.
And I was like, he should be finishing today. I was checking my phone a lot. I was at the end of one of the days or whatever, and you texted me on the last mile of the hike, because the last mile of the Cranberry 50, well, I guess it depends on what direction you go, but for Flossy's case, the last mile is on a dirt, or not dirt road, a paved road. Most of this trail is actual trail, but this last little stretch is just on the road. And you were texting me, and you were just it was so funny because he's pulling out the text right now. But I just remember it being something I'm finishing, and I'd been awaiting your text all day too, because I was I know he's finishing today. I hope he didn't fucking hurt himself, and I hope it was fun or whatever. And oh god, let's just see if we can find it here. You got another month to scroll through as far as your texts go.
I don't know. Maybe I'll come up on him here soon.
That's all right. But it was just funny because you were just fuck you. I could tell from the text you were stoked that you were done, but you were also fuck, my foot's fucked up, and I was damn, that sucks.
Yeah, my foot was hurting so bad, and
the pavement probably didn't help too.
Honestly, the most dangerous part was that road walk going, because people are just flying by you, going so fast, and my foot. My foot hurt so bad on the pavement, but yeah, it was. I don't regret it. It's a beautiful trail.
It is. It's definitely a good trail to rip it on because it is so like. Is that it? You find it?
Yeah,
all right.
I found it.
Never mind. Shut up, Kyle. All right, we found the text messages.
Okay, it's like this is the last mile going back to my truck.
So which day is this Sunday? I'm just trying to remember where I was.
Sunday, July 26th.
So I was like halfway. I was like halfway done my Monadnock hike. So I was backpacking too, obviously. Anyways, go for it.
So I text Nar. It's really. I text him on Route 3 headed back to my truck. My feet are obliterated. Might just yellow blaze this last mile. Just kidding. I ain't no bitch. But really, I'm so bored walking on this fucking road. I'm just gonna send you text till I get to my truck. This was the most dangerous part of the trail. Cars are just flying by 100 miles an hour. Almost off trail, man. Shit. Full send, around the bend. No pretend.
What did I finally say?
Yes, dude, congrats.
Oh.
I was so bored. My foot hurt so bad I just had to get it off my, get it off my mind.
That was so funny. I forgot about that. You were texting me like, oh, I'm just going to text you until I get to the end of the road walk because I'm so far. And then you had a nice 3.5 hour drive back too afterwards.
Oh, that's what I lost my thought earlier. That's what I was going to say. And it's like, that's why I got there so late because it's like a 3.5 hour drive from Vermont, where we live.
So, yeah. But you did it.
Yep.
You did it. And then our next hike was...
a day hike.
Just another day hike on Mount Mansfield. But this one was a little bit more cool, I'll say, as in temperature-wise. Because our last one, as we talked about, was really fucking hot.
It was also cool trail-wise.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. So we went to... So I probably should clarify this last time, but... for our first Mansfield hike, we talked about at the beginning of the episode, we just went to the Forehead. So Mount Mansfield has a number of different peaks, and the Forehead is like the lowest one of all the peaks. But this time we went to the Chin, which is the highest point on Mount Mansfield, the highest point in Vermont. 4,395 feet, according to Flossy's paper. What were you going to say?
That's off the map, so I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
right.
at one point, we were the highest people in Vermont.
We were the highest people in Vermont, and we did not do any drugs either, so... we did not. That was, let's see. So we started at Underhill State Park, and we went up the Halfway House Trail, which is a very bizarre name for a trail, but I think there used to be like a hotel somewhere or something like that. Or is that the trail we went up? I think it was the Halfway House Trail. And then we cut over using the Canyon Trail. I think it's like Canyon North or something like that. And this is a trail that basically parallels the Long Trail, is probably within 0.3 of the Long Trail for its entire length. But it's just a little side trail that not as many people take. And you're basically like almost on the top of the ridge, but slightly to the side and like going like across.
It's like you're on the side of the mountain, like going...
You literally are.
Like you're rock climbing.
And there's like a bunch of climbing sections. There's a bunch of caves. Or not a bunch of caves. There's at least 1 or 2 caves. Like literally like almost... If you were carrying a full pack, you'd probably have to like take off your pack. But we just had day packs, so we were fine. But it was some pretty gnarly shit for sure.
Yeah, if you've ever... if you've ever hiked... through hiked or section hiked the trail of
lemon
that place,
squeezer,
lemon squeeze. It's a lot like the lemon squeezer where you're just like trying to fit in and out of these crevices, and it was fun. We love shit like that.
Yeah, especially when you're just day hiking too.
Like Mahoosic Notch in Maine.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah, that was fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, like
I haven't thought about that for a long time.
And like you said, you know, if you were on a through hike and you had to go through that, and it was like the end of the day, it might be a little frustrating, but it's at the end of the day, it's still fun.
It was fun, and you get like views too on this Canyon North Trail.
Yeah.
And then we basically summited Mount Mansfield, and it was just starting to not like rain, but just like sprinkle a little bit. It was like kind of overcast, but honestly, like I thought it was kind of nice because I've been up there like 5 times at this point, but and I've seen the view, but I just thought it was kind of cool, and there wasn't as many people up there because it was later in the day again.
When we were at the trailhead, this guy was like,
"Oh yeah,"
came up to us and was like, "Yo, how long do you think it's gonna take us to get to the top?" And I was like, what trail are you taking?"
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, like
we don't know their pace, we don't know what trail they're taking for one.
Yeah, That's like...
we passed them going down. They were almost to the top.
Yeah, they were. Just as it was starting to come down a little bit, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we summited... First time Flossy summited Mount Mansfield.
Yeah.
And then we just went down Sunset Ridge, which is like the most popular trail there. But there was definitely no sunset because it was cloudy, but it was okay because it was fine.
We'll get it someday.
Yeah, we'll get it someday.
Get a sunset.
And then, so that was just a 6.6 mile, pretty short day hike. And then the next hike we did after this on August 14th through August 15th. No. August 15th through the 16th, but we left on the 14th because that's when we drove down on Friday. Was the Devil's Path hike with Syntax 77. So we're not going to talk about this too much because you guys hopefully already heard that whole podcast. I do kind of want to get Flossy's perspective on this though, because Sean and I, Syntax and I, were both just, we're just these crazy YouTube people, and just, I feel like that, I don't know, you've been in so many videos, though. I don't really know where I'm going with that, but Flossy's perspective on the Devil's Path hike.
Well, watching the videos, at the end of the day, even being there with you, like, hiking with you guys, I thought it was cool to see, like, the different styles you guys have, and, like most of the time that Syntax was filming, I had no idea he was filming. Like, he's got the little GoPro, and he what'd he say? This is some meta shit?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either, to be honest, but
if you want
in the video.
If you want to clarify that, Syntax, if you're listening.
It's some, internet lingo, but I agree. Here's the thing with hiking with Syntax 77. As Flossy just said, our styles are very different. Our video styles are very different. I've got my big ass camera. Whenever I'm filming something, I'm filming it, right? Because I have my camera out, or I'm blabbing and shoving it in my face or someone else's face or whatever. But with Sean's videos, he is very, very discreet, which we did not realize before going into this. It'll be funny if he hears this, honestly, because not that it's a problem, but it was just he's got a little GoPro, and that's it. He doesn't have a big camera. He doesn't got a lens. He doesn't have a big microphone, anything like that. He just has a little GoPro, a little tripod, and that's it. And so he would, and also the style of his videos too are just continuous shots. He doesn't have, my videos are polar opposite. I've got cuts every 5 seconds basically. And his are the opposite. He'll take a 3-minute clip of him filming and not cut it at all. And as a result, because we watched his video that he posted, and Flossy said for most of the shots that he was in, he had no idea that Sean was actually filming, which is so funny.
When you're filming, like you said, you got your camera. I know what's coming in the video, but when I watched his, I got to see myself from a different perspective, and maybe
it's like you're watching yourself hike.
Yeah,
oh my God,
you are, because he's behind you, and you don't do very many shots of us actually hiking because the GoPro is so stable.
Yeah, exactly.
When you so it was cool to see ourselves from a different perspective, but it was also because his videos are an hour long. I was he didn't after the hike I was he didn't even film that much, and then we watched the video and it's a bunch of shit I didn't even know he was filming.
It's so funny. I caught onto it a little bit earlier. I remember for the first couple miles that we hiked together, I would just, because he was hiking in the back, I feel for most of it, and so, or at least for the beginning, and I was just talking to him, just making conversation, running my mouth, saying a bunch of bullshit like I usually do when I'm hiking, just passing the time or whatever. And eventually I looked back and I think I had said something about politics too, something I didn't want on camera, or I wouldn't have said on camera normally.
Yeah.
And I look back and he's and he's not even when he films it, he's holding out his camera either. He's literally just holding it right next to his
his hip. It's by his hip belt.
And not that he's trying to hide it either. He wasn't trying to film us without our permission or whatever, but that's just the way he would hold it. And so I had said something about Joe Biden or some shit, and then I turned around and I see he's filming, and I was oh, okay, I guess, and then after that, I was kind of more conscious of it, but I guess you didn't realize, which is pretty funny.
Dude, Syntax is hardcore. You watch his videos, he does some crazy stuff.
Oh yeah,
in the winter, and that man can keep up with some 20-year-olds.
Yeah,
pretty,
and it's
pretty good taste.
It's pretty funny because if you watch his video, at the beginning of his video when he's in his hotel room the night before he met up with us, he was kind of talking about, it almost seemed like he was a little bit nervous that he wasn't going to be able to like keep up with us or whatever. Because he what did he say? He said like, "Oh, I'm hiking with some real hikers from Vermont," or like some shit, like as if we're real hikers compared to the fake hikers, whoever the fuck that is. I don't really know what he meant, but it just sounded like he was nervous, right? And it was funny because I didn't notice that at all when we were hiking with him. It seemed like he kept up just fine. Like he was crushing it for sure.
Yeah, he kept. I mean, there were times he stopped, got some sugar in him, got some energy.
Yeah,
but other than that, yeah, he was. You know, when we were tired, he was tired. Mm-hmm. When we were feeling good, when our stoke was up, his stoke was up.
That's right. That's right.
So
it was a good hike. Let's go on to the hike that we did just a weekend or two ago. So this hike, we did a section of the Long Trail. We did a 27-mile section of the Long Trail Labor Day weekend, and I did not film this hike. I did not plan on really talking about it until this episode, honestly. This was a hike that was supposed to be independent of content. Not that there's a problem with talking about it now, but basically what happened is my friend Dan that we alluded, not Dan Beggar, my friend Dan that we alluded to at the beginning of the hike, or
Danny boy,
the beginning of the episode, who I had done, what were we talking about? Who I had done the New Hampshire 48 isolation with, that's what it was.
And the Cranberry Lake, too.
And the Cranberry Lake 50, actually, yeah. He's just a good friend of mine. We grew up together, knew each other before we started hiking, and we got into backpacking together when I was a kid. Anyways, he's not a social media guy. He knew I had a YouTube channel, but he was pretty surprised to hear that I had, like, as many thousand subscribers as I did once I told him. Like, he doesn't care about that shit, which is kind of refreshing, honestly. And so when he was coming up, he wanted to do a hike. He lives in Virginia now. And I was like, all right, if my buddy's here, he doesn't care about YouTube. I'm not going to like bring the camera and like force him to be part of this filming. Because it does take, you definitely have to commit to the video when you do it. It's not a burden in my opinion, but it does take a lot of extra work. And so I just didn't want to burden Dan with that. And honestly, I kind of wanted to take the time that I was going to use to make the video while I was out there and just spend that with Dan instead.
No, that was a really good call. Like, he's on vacation.
Yeah.
Probably the last thing he wanted was a camera in his face.
Exactly, because he doesn't give a shit about videos and stuff.
The pictures were cool.
I still brought my camera. I took some pictures, but I didn't make a video. But anyways, I guess we'll talk about this hike a little bit. So we started at the Belvedere. So this is the northernmost part of the Long Trail. We started at the Belvedere trailhead on Route 118, I believe, in Belvedere, Vermont. And we hiked Saturday, Sunday, into Monday, all the way to the Canadian border, which is where the Long Trail ends, the northern terminus of the Long Trail. And we only did like 12-mile days, but it fucking kicked our ass. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be. I actually thought it was going to be kind of an easier hike to me. Like that's what I told you before. I was like, oh, it'll be, kind of a rest hike, but it was not. It was fucking hard.
Well, when you did the Long Trail, that was your finisher, so you were probably just ripping, stoked,
Yeah.
And you were in good shape. I mean, not that we're not, but you're out there every day.
I had hiked all the way from Massachusetts, so it was obviously...
Dude, that was... The air was getting crisp. It was like a beautiful drive up there. Mm-hmm. Perfect weather, clear skies. Just really, really nice weather to hike in. This is like the perfect time of year. I love it.
No bugs this time of year either. Yeah. It's great because you get... I mean, I feel like most people listening know this already, but for you West Coasters, I say that like it's derogatory. I don't mean it in a bad way, but just September is the best time of year to hike in the Northeast, in my opinion, because it's cooler, so you don't get the heat and humidity you get during the summer, but it's not cold. You don't have to bring like a 0-degree fucking sleeping bag. You don't have to worry about snow or ice or anything like that. You get the leaves changing a little bit. There's no more bugs, no mosquitoes, no black flies.
Great. I love that.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's perfect hiking weather, except for when it rains. It sucks when it rains because you're cold as shit when it rains.
And we got a little bit of rain.
We did get the only rain that we've gotten so far this year while hiking. We got on this hike, but it was very brief. It wasn't that bad. I thought it was kind of fun. You and Dan didn't think it was as fun, but I was like, fuck it, bring it on, let's do it. We got none all summer. I'm down, let's do it.
Yeah, at first I wasn't, but then when I got in my tent at night, it was actually kind of nice.
Yeah. And it wasn't like a downpour either. It was just like a little sprinkle for like 20 minutes, if that. Like, so it wasn't a big deal. And actually, funny enough, when I did the long trail in 2016, I don't know if I ever told you that I hiked the long trail in 2016, but...
Oh, dude, will you tell me more after this?
I would love to tell you more about this hike I did in 2016 on the long trail. But anyways... Thank you. That's a joke. That's a little inside joke there. But anyways, I wonder how that came across. I'm like, well, we'll see. But when I was going through there in 2016... pretty much the same thing happened. I got really good weather on my long trail through hike, really good weather. But I did get a little bit of rain basically in the same exact section that we did. And it was the same thing too. It rained for like a few minutes and it wasn't a big deal. And the guy I was hiking with, Sebastian, at the time was like getting all pissed off about it. He was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, why is it raining? And I was like, bro, we had no rain this entire hike. Yeah. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, don't worry about it. And that was basically my attitude for this time as well. And it wasn't a big deal. We camped at Hazen's Notch Camp on Saturday night, right? Yeah, Hazen's Notch Camp. And I got recognized by somebody who watched my YouTube videos for the first time ever, so that was kind of funny. And then the next day, Jay Peak.
Oh, Jay Peak was awesome.
Jay Peak was awesome.
I was feeling pretty, like, down that day because I was tired, didn't get the best sleep. And I didn't get the best sleep because that was the day my rain jacket was wet. But I think what I'm going to do more often is bring a little extra coffee.
Ooh.
On the hike, you know?
We should definitely do this on the MPT.
Because before we did J Peak, we went to J Camp and ate a little bit of lunch. And I was like, you know, I got a little extra coffee, I'll drink some. And that just made the rest of my day. And J Peak is just awesome.
J Peak is awesome.
Sweet.
It's a ski resort mountain, so a lot of the peaks here in Vermont are ski resorts, obviously, because that's a huge part of our economy. And I guess they had just opened up the tram, like the day before, which, do I need to explain what a tram is? Probably. I probably didn't know what a tram was before I started skiing, so it's basically like, it's one of the ways that people get up the ski mountain. It's just but it's not like a chairlift. It's like a huge fucking thing. They fit like 100 people in it, and then it just goes up the mountain. Which, yeah, but they had just opened it up. I guess which I'm honestly shocked they opened this during like COVID, because it's very cramped. But they opened it up. I guess I can't. No, don't need to go into that. But they opened it up, and so there was a bunch of people up there at the top, and I thought it was pretty funny because after we drank our coffee and had our lunch and basically started to climb up Jay Peak, we were almost at the top. It's like above tree line kind of up there. And there's these group of people that were just laying right on the trail. And this one fucking guy, I mentioned this in my Instagram post that I made from this hike. Like, this one guy could not believe that people hiked up the mountain. Like, he was laying in the middle of the trail, and we, like, walked up to him, and he's like, he kind of, like, looks up, like, takes his sunglasses off. He's like, is there, like, a trail up here or something? Like, because people keep, like, passing me here, and we're like... Yeah, like, you're on the long trail right now. Like, you're literally laying on the long trail right now. And he was like, I didn't know people, like, I can't believe people hike up here. He's like, you guys know there's a tram, right? He asked us if we knew about the tram, as if we were going to be like, oh, shit, we could have taken the tram. Why didn't we fucking do that? Like, he just could not believe that fucking people hiked up this mountain instead of taking the tram like he did. So.
It's like he didn't even know what hiking was. He's like, how'd you guys get up here?
Yeah.
There's a secret, like... I don't know.
He was he was younger, maybe like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, he was older than us.
He was a little bit older than us, but he wasn't like old, like.
Yeah.
And he was with some friends and shit. Like, he looked like a tourist. I was like, I don't know, but that was pretty funny. Maybe he was just fucking with us, like he probably was, honestly.
We hit 10 peaks on this hike.
Yeah. Maybe that's why it was so damn hard. Eh? It was tough. And after Jay, we just meandered down to Shooting Star Shelter, and we were the only, but no, there's one other guy there, but nobody else stayed in the actual shelter itself, so we did that. And the next day, we hiked out to the Canadian border, which Flossy's first time, I don't know if you can call it his first time being in Canada. It was his first time being at Canada, because we literally were on the border, because that's where the trail ends, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was trying to save my piss for Canada so I could take a leak in Canada, but it didn't work out.
That's all right. And that was that. So I think we got like Yeah, we got like 10 minutes left here. I want to talk about the MPT. So I'm not going to... Yeah. This is going to be a hard hike. I'm stoked. I'm very stoked. But I'm trying to like get myself ready mentally too, because this is going to be a tough hike. That being said, what were you going to say?
Well, it's like you've been on the MPT, and like you know what it's about.
I feel like I don't remember that much from it.
But I'm just like, it's a piece of cake. It'll probably be nothing. But I think it's just the possibility of getting rained on every day that could, not even every day, but you know, for even half of it, like it could be pretty miserable trail.
Yep. And rain sucks, but the reason we're especially, I don't want to say worried about it, but thought I accidentally closed the recording for a second there. We're good.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, we're good. No cuts. The reason that could suck is because the time of year we're going, not going to say exact dates because fucking weirdos on the internet, but we're going in a couple weeks. And so it's going to be late September. It's going to be early October, somewhere around then. Cold time of year, a good time of year to hike. That's the time of year we finish the Appalachian Trail. So the foliage is going to be dank, #dank. And like it's, we're not going to have to worry about mud, hopefully, or bugs, or humidity and heat, all the things that I really don't like. But if it rains and we get wet, and when I say rain, I mean if it rains, not like a little like short thing like we just talked about on our long trail hike. If we get like a full day of rain or multiple days of rain, which is not even likely to happen, but is possible to happen, that's going to be tough because we're going to be in the middle of, you know, bigger mile days. We're going to be doing between 15 and 20 pretty much every day. And if we're soaking wet and cold, that's going to suck.
And I mean, we had a day here in the 40s, 2 days ago. It was in the 40s, so.
I heard tonight it's supposed to be pretty cold too.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, if we're soaking wet, and I'm sure things are going to be pretty stiff in the morning.
Yeah, they are.
Let's just say we'll have to sleep with our Sawyers.
Yes, we might have to do that. That is true. And so
we've been waiting for this for a really long time, and like I tried to get some work off earlier. Those dates didn't work out, so we just decided to push it back. And finally, I got the days off.
We're gonna rip it though. That's the thing. Like, I'll let Flossy speak to this too. But for me, as some of you probably know, I tried to hike this trail in 2015, and I quit. There's been podcasts and YouTube videos on that whole story, so I won't go into that story. But this is the only trail that I've ever quit that I haven't gone back and finished. So I am very determined to hike this trail, and I think that might be another reason why mentally, this is the same thing I did before the AT. Like mentally, like I'm really trying to like toughen myself up for this. Like I'm trying to like expect hardship and be able to push through. It's only going to be like an 8 or 9 day hike. It's not going to be 4.5 months, but it is a tough trail. It is a tough trail, and that's actually been talked about on this podcast before. Jacob Ireland, I believe his name is. I've had so many people on the show now, I'm starting to forget people's names, but I'm pretty sure that's his name. He hiked the MPT last year, and we did an episode on it probably last year, I would assume. I don't remember. I have no idea what number it is, honestly. It was a while ago. But he talked about it a little bit in that episode. And Tuts, one of the very early Trail Tales episodes, number 9, I believe. I remember that one. He talked about the MPT as well. And people, on paper, it seems like an easy trail because it's flat. It's only 140 miles. That's not terrible compared to some of the other long ones. But there's just something about this trail, man. It's tough. It's remote. A lot of it's like really remote too. And so I'm trying not to, I'm making it sound like I'm dreading this hike. I'm really excited for this hike. I'm really excited to get some revenge. I'm really excited to not work for 9 days. But it's going to be tough too. I don't know. I'm a little bit anxious in that regard. That being said, injury is the only thing that's going to stop us from finishing it because
for sure.
Because we're determined. We're determined, and we're going to be ready for the cold too. We're gonna pack warm.
I mean, we sacrificed, time off to do it. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, basically everything we've gone through with you guys these past 2 episodes since I got to Vermont in April have been leading up to this hike.
Yep.
Like we've been preparing. This is how I've been preparing. Mentally, I don't really know how you prepare for a hike. I usually just go into it and whatever happens, you know. But you can definitely physically prepare yourself.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I've been doing.
And we're in good shape right now too, I feel like.
The mental aspect for me comes when you're out there. I mean, shit's going to happen. Like, whatever happens. So, we can't control the weather. We can't control injuries if they do happen.
But you can control your attitude.
That's right.
And that's what I'm trying to focus on.
You and I stay positive.
Yeah.
We hike really good together.
We do. So. We do. So yeah, hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully the foliage will be nice, because that'll be some sick video for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm so.
Because that's all that matters, obviously.
This is the great. Screw the camaraderie and the
dude. Maybe if it's hard, then it'll be a good video though, because then we'll be like fighting, not us fighting. We'll be like fighting the trail and being like pushing through it. But
I know what good stories are like. Oh man, I had a great day on trail. It was really sunny and like we all got along. And, like everything went well. My dinner was good.
It's good story. No, it'll be good. It'll be a good story.
The shittiest experiences are the best things to talk about for sure.
That's right. I'm excited. There's lots of logistics that are going into this hike, but I think I'm gonna save that for. We're gonna do a whole episode on this hike after we finish it. I don't know if Flossy knew that, but he does now. And
I'm down anytime, man. I mean, we live 2 feet from each other.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, we live real close. So, we'll do a whole episode afterwards, and that's when we'll go through logistics, you know, shuttles, resupply, all that shit. But and that stuff's been gone through in other episodes too. But for now, I think we're gonna kind of wrap it up here, I guess. MPT is right around the corner.
Whoop, whoop.
In fact, I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do Trail Tales while I'm out there. I might have to record like 2 episodes next week to do that, but knowing me, I probably won't, and then I'll just skip a week. so
if
sorry.
You're out there and you wanna do a podcast with my boy, hit him up.
Yeah. Yeah, make it quick too, because we're leaving soon. No dates, but we're leaving soon. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. Wish us luck out there. Thanks for listening. And thanks to Flossy for sitting in my bedroom like 2 feet across from me for an hour. At least it wasn't hot as fuck like the last time we did this in fucking June.
And thank you, Trailtalians.
That's right.
For supporting my brother here. It's been friggin' growing in numbers since the YouTube video too, and that's awesome.
And be ready for the YouTube channel too, because we've got some really fun stuff that's going to be happening once.
We got something good coming.
Once the hiking season dies down a little bit, once it gets colder and we stop ripping it every weekend, basically, we'll have a little bit more time to put into some of the goofy videos. I'll say some of the parody videos. We've got some cool ideas.
Who knows? It could bomb, but I think it's pretty sweet.
There's always a chance of bombing, but based on the couple like goofy videos I've done so far. All I have to do is put on a Hawaiian shirt and make fun of ultralighters, and people seem to love that shit, so we'll see. That's going to do it, everybody. Thank you so much, and have a good one.
Peace out.